Hi everybody, Skeeter Harris here with Mac Village Productions, and today we're going to talk about Parallels Desktop 7. With Parallels Desktop 7 for the Mac, the best in virtualization keeps getting better. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the top features within Parallels. So with Parallels Desktop 7, there are actually over 90 new features that got rolled into this release. I came up with what I felt was sort of a top 10, and we'll look at some of these, but quickly to review these. Full Lion support. Not only can we virtualize Lion, but we can also now use Mission Control, Launchpad, full screen mode. There's a new Parallels configuration wizard, which we'll look at in detail. The ability now to buy Windows 7 in a convenience store where you can actually buy apps from within Parallels Desktop 7, which is pretty neat. Parallels Mobile has been significantly enhanced now with the ability to actually play Windows sound through your through the VM into your iPad or your iPhone, along with the ability to remotely control your Mac desktop environment, which I'll cover in a later screencast. Automatic updates is now included, made it a little bit seamless so that you don't have to deal with manual updates both for Parallels tools and for the desktop application. Integration has been improved so that now your iSight or your FaceTime camera can actually be used simultaneously between both environments, which is neat. And the recycle bin in Windows can be pointed back to your trash can. 7.1 surround sound has been added to the environments now, and an improved 5.1. If you have Windows an app that won't close or quit, becomes unresponsive, you can actually force quit it now, right from within the Apple menu, which is cool. Significant performance improvement also is included with Parallels Desktop 7. What Parallels reports is 60% faster than Desktop 6 for just operations and resuming Windows, and 45% faster for 3D graphics in some applications. I can tell you that I certainly have seen improvements myself on this particular Macintosh, and we'll talk about that at the end of the review here. And then last but not least, you also now have the ability to use 1 GB of video memory for a VM. That's pretty significant because now with either game apps or high-end video apps, say an AutoCAD, maybe even a Sony Vegas, being able to allocate a gigabyte of video memory, assuming you actually have a video card that has that, will really improve performance on those types of applications. All right, so let's take a look at how Parallels Desktop 7 handles the virtual machines and integrates with Lion. So what you've got here is you've got my list of virtual machines. You can see 2 of them are suspended, Lion and XP, based on those little half moons. Chrome isn't running, and then if we look at Home Premium, it's running. Now, to see my different spaces, of course, using Mission Control, I can glide forward. I can see that I've got here is Lion resumed right now, or actually suspended right now. And if I go forward again on the trackpad, I can see that I've got a full screen version of Windows 7 running. To exit out of this, just like in any Lion application, you move your mouse to the top here of the screen, you get your menu pop up, you go over here to the diagonal blue arrows once that comes back up. And if I click on that, I'll go out of full screen mode into window mode. So it's going to resize it properly for the VM. And here I am up and running again with a couple apps going. Now, for those of you that are new to Parallels Desktop, whether it's 6 or 7, but if you're new, basically there are several different modes you can operate the virtual machines in, and this is configurable Vive Virtual Machine. If you go down to the little toolbar down here at the bottom of the VM, if we click on this, there's something called Enter Coherence Mode, Enter Full Screen Mode, which we saw, and Enter Mobility, Modality, excuse me. Modality is just a miniature version, so you can actually have multiple VMs running if you were, say, managing a server farm using VMs, and you wanted to see all the screens running on one small screen, or the VMs, I should say. In coherence mode, this is pretty cool. What it does is it basically kills the Windows background, or hides it, so to speak, so that now I've got just my Windows apps running and I can access them and use them that way, basically. And what's neat about this now is if I go back into Mission Control, what I can do is I can actually move these to different desktops, so that they're running just like a different in a different environment, like Lion does with Spaces and OS X. So pretty cool stuff here. Alright, so that's a coherence mode. To get out, you go back up to the Start menu, and we go down and say Exit Coherence, and we're back then into the Windows 7 Home Premium Edition here running in a window. So a couple other things I wanted to show you briefly. If we go down here to the configure the virtual machine, we talked about, remember, the recycle bin. Well, if I go to sharing and I click on configure, what I can now do is I can have it so that when I empty the recycle bin, or actually when I empty trash, any contents of the recycle bin go out with it. So it merges that, so we're not dealing with two different recycle bins to have to empty between the Windows environment and the Mac environment. Also, another cool integration feature here is if we go up to force quit, say you have a Windows app that is not responding, if we go force quit from within OS X, notice now that we can see some of our Windows apps running. So if I say, click on executable for solitaire game, and I click on force quit, watch what happens. It shuts it down. So that's really cool. Clearly you can see here that Parallels is really taking the integration, and it shows a real maturity in the product of how they're just continually refining and tweaking Parallels Desktop 7 in the Windows and Mac environment. All right, so let's take a look at the project wizard within Parallels Desktop 7. How to add a new machine, a virtual machine, as you click on the plus. You get this really snazzy little dialog box that sort of walks you through things. And if I want to install Linux, I just click on either, say in this case, Fedora or Ubuntu, or I want to install Chrome. I click on this, I hit continue, and it will install and download and install those for me. If I want to install Lion, same kind of thing, click on here and it will actually automatically install a Lion configuration for me. I'm not going to do that. New to Parallels Desktop 7 is now the ability, besides installing from an image, but if I don't have Windows 7, I can click on the buy, and what I'm going to get here momentarily is actually an environment here where I can actually go ahead and order and purchase a download of Windows 7 right from here. So if I click on continue, it's going to take me to this little online store, and I'll be able to literally fill in my purchase information, and I'm off and running. So that's sort of pretty cool. The other thing that they did, which is neat, is there's this thing called the convenience store. And if I go up here to I gotta find it, the convenience store under File, Convenience Store. What we have now is we have this whole series of applications grouped by function or category. And I can go in here and literally buy these as downloadable images that I can then install into my virtual machine. And they also, not only do they have mostly PC software in here, but they also have Mac software. So, really they're giving sort of like an iTunes App Store kind of a feeling here. So this is really cool. Okay then, so that wraps up the overview for Parallels Desktop 7. You're probably wondering what my thoughts are after having been using it now for the last almost week. I think that if you're a Lion user, this is a no-brainer upgrade. At $49.95 for an upgrade license, or $79.95 for a new license, why would you not take the opportunity to upgrade this? Performance is notably improved, compatibility is improved, integration with Windows is improved. I found no downside, and in configuring several VMs along with migrating an XP VM over, I saw no problems. Really just sheer happiness and goodness, from a virtualization perspective. So, 2 thumbs up for my perspective on Parallels Desktop 7.